This story is about how I drove two overconfident high school playboys crazy and met my love. I dedicate it to deceived and abandoned girls. Know your value and believe that everything will work out. All names have been changed and similarities are accidental. In the spotlight under the sight of TV cameras, I felt confident because I was sincerely sharing what I knew firsthand and really wanted to help millions of girls. That's why I agreed to participate in a social project promoting family values. My name is Tiffany and I live in Detroit. I'm 15 years old, but I've never dated anyone, kissed a guy, or even held hands with anybody. Yes, I'm an innocent girl and I'm waiting for a big true love. Because I don't want to waste myself on empty affairs. With the director nodding convincingly, I said it confidently and freely, as if it wasn't my first time shooting. Oh yes, I got carried away with the story and almost forgot to remind you, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. It's important for the entire MSP team, who have many more exciting stories for you. Everything on this channel is for real. Meanwhile, I continue. The social project had an unprecedented public response and caused a lot of controversies. I became its face and not only starred in videos, but also traveled to schools in all states and held live meetings with young people. They even started to recognize me on the streets. And if you get deceived and abandoned too, and your whole ideal world one day collapses like a house of cards? A girl from the audience with eyes full of tears once asked. It's important to look at actions and not believe beautiful words from the very first meeting. Then you won't fall into the illusion. I firmly answered this captious question. And I spoke so confidently because this was the pain of our family. My grandfather left my grandma, dad left mom, and recently my older sister came back home with a baby in her arms, my little niece. My sister also fell in love with a bad guy. When she was already pregnant, the boyfriend didn't marry her and left her for her best friend. So we all lived together as a big family of all women. When this happened, I decided that everything would be different for me, and I would break this chain of unfortunate female fates and become truly loved. In the meantime, to make ends meet and avoid getting into debt, our family moved to another area where housing was cheaper. Naturally, along with the place of living, I had to change schools. Oh, you can imagine how much noise and discussion my appearance raised. Thanks to my social activity, everyone in the new school knew me, from the principal to the janitor. And the specialist in working with difficult teenagers shook my hand and hugged me tightly when we met. Tiffany, I hope your appearance at school will positively affect the situation. The guys are completely out of hand. Things are so bad here. I can't cope with them, and the principal has been withholding my bonus for months now, he said, almost crying. From his words, I didn't quite understand what was wrong with the situation at the school. However, I smiled at him warmly. On my first day of school at lunchtime, I overheard two long-legged beauties, and with bright makeup, sitting at the next table whispering and discussing me. They were my new classmates, and one of them was named Ella. Just look at this goody-goody. She looks like a total dork. I'm sure it's not about her moral principles. I think she's not dating anyone because what kind of normal guy would pay attention to such a shaggy scarecrow? But we'll show her true colors, Ella said wickedly, and I pretended not to hear their conversation. But at that moment, I clearly understood that this girl could not be trusted. The next day, Ella, as if nothing had happened, moved to my desk and addressed me kindly. Do you mind if I sit here? Do you want a Tic Tac? I'm so tired of my boring old girlfriends, and it's so great that your fresh face appeared in our class, Ella said, and her friendly tone didn't even have the slightest hint of yesterday's angry comments that I accidentally overheard in the school cafeteria. Ella became my guide and showed me around the new school. She stopped hanging out with her overdressed and pomaded girlfriends and even began to dress more simply. I got the feeling that Ella was trying to become my friend. I accepted her help, but I realized that I shouldn't relax. At an unexpected moment, this girl could punch me in the guts. Once my classmate and I went to the school library, the person who worked there rounded her eyes in surprise. Oh, it's you, Ella. Long time no see. You haven't been here since the first grade. And now, after so many years, you come in so unexpectedly? I didn't even think you could read. Do you want me to give you an ABC book? The employee said mockingly, to which Ella grimaced and cursed angrily. But she caught herself in time and hid her rage under an unconvincing smile. At that moment, the door opened and two high school students entered the library. God, they looked so stylish, like they were filming a Hollywood movie about tough guys just a couple of minutes ago. When I looked at one of them, my heart started treacherously beating faster. Thump, 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 thump. I barely caught my breath. I think his name was Ashley. But at that moment, I said to myself, stop, and began to breathe deeper. "What kind of a day is this, Ashley? Brian? I already forgot your cute faces. And what brings you all here today? First Ella, then you two," the library worker said, rounding her eyes even more and shaking her head. The guys ignored her words and sat down at the far table. There they began to discuss something loudly and throw weird glances at Ella and me. "Tiffany, they're looking at us," my friend began to whisper in my ear, clasping her hand on my shoulder. "These are the most popular guys in school. Very rich, their parents own half of Detroit. You should see the awesome sports car they drive to school. I would immediately drool over them," she added languidly. And at that moment it seemed to me that she really was drooling. "They obviously have their eyes on you," my classmate continued in the meantime and winked mysteriously. "So don't miss your chance to take the bull by the horns." I didn't want to share with Ella my innermost thoughts about the kind of relationship I dreamed of, so I decided to play along, looked at the guys judging their appearance and flirtatiously said, "Yeah, they're all right." And I gracefully swung my eyelashes, playfully glancing at the guys. Ella grinned in response, and some kind of evil shadow ran over her face. I wonder what she thought at that moment. The next day, a real mayhem began. Ashley and Brian were waiting for me on every corner and trying to get my attention, but they acted a little differently. Ashley, for example, clearly played a bad guy and decided to get me by force. I ran into him in a deserted school corridor, got scared because I didn't expect to see anyone there, and dropped my textbooks. Meanwhile, the guy took advantage of my confusion, pressed me against the wall, and reached for my lips. His tight hug and strong muscular arms made my body temperature fly up, but I didn't lose control. Since I couldn't move, I didn't think of anything better than to spit Ashley in the face and hit him with my knee. And I think I hit a most vulnerable place. Well, you get what I mean. Ashley didn't expect such fighting back. He bent in half and started groaning. "My name is Ashley. I'm very pleased to meet you." "Closer," I heard through the groans. "My name is Tiffany, and I'm not pleased," I answered, got my textbooks, and walked away with my head held high. Brian chose a slightly different tactic. During lunch, he gallantly paid for my food and sat down at the table with me and Ella. My friend sweetly smiled, and with the words, "I'm gonna leave you two alone," she moved to her old girlfriends, who looked at us and for some reason started giggling cheerfully. Brian was very sweet and attentive conversationalist, and after the lessons he waited after the school, gave me a huge bouquet of flowers, carefully handed me a cup of coffee, and offered to take me home in his cool sports car, which I agreed to. The guy behaved perfectly, but there was something sugary and unpleasant in his care, and I'm very good at seeing people's real personality, and I always trust my intuition. Therefore, when we were going to the car, I, as if accidentally, dropped the luxurious bouquet into a dirty puddle, and it immediately turned into a shabby broom. And when we got into the car, I spilled almost all the coffee on the expensive driver's seat cover. The cleaning will cost this guy several $1,000s, I thought happily, watching Brian's reaction. But all this time he remained calm and kept smiling, and he answered all my provocations saying it was all fine. When Brian walked me to the door, he suddenly became bolder, put his hand just below my waist and wanted to kiss me, but I dodged it and said goodbye to him until tomorrow. In the morning when I got out of the house, I saw Ashley's car. He gallantly opened the door for me and said in an apologetic tone, "Yesterday I behaved like a complete idiot. You're just a very beautiful girl and I lost control. It won't happen again." It seemed to me that Ashley was speaking quite sincerely, so I generously forgave him and got into the car. But for some reason, we stopped not near the school, but near the most expensive women's clothing store in the city, where one dress cost more than my mom's entire monthly salary. "I want to make amends," Ashley said embarrassedly, and chose a very stylish dress for me, and I couldn't resist and accepted the expensive gift. When I put the dress on, I felt gorgeous. I didn't want to take it off, and I went to school in my new image. On the way, Ashley looked at me and smiled gently. And my heart started beating faster again. But I told myself, stop again. And I didn't let those feelings grow. When Ashley parked his car near the school, angry Brian ran up to us screaming, "How dare you drive a car with my future girlfriend in it? Yesterday she was almost ready to say yes to me." The guy yelled loudly, attracting the attention of the entire school. And when he saw the new dress on me, he immediately understood everything, took a good swing and hit Ashley in his head with a heavy backpack full of books. Ashley leaned to one side a little but stayed on his feet. The guys started to fight and literally everyone came to watch. Ashley and Brian, best friends, were punching each other with all their might. And I was looking at all this as if in slow motion and couldn't say a word. And then I heard Ella's snide voice. "Do you think they're fighting because of your innocent charms? Yeah, right. It's all because of money. These guys are total bastards and playboys who change girls like socks. I made them bet on which of them would be the first to seduce our little saint. And then he would dump you in front of everyone so that your fairy tales about one true love would come to an end, and you'd stop fooling other girls. They have $1,000 at stake. I think that's too much for a freak like you, my classmate added, looking enviously at my new dress. I wasn't surprised and expected something like that from Ella. Her words didn't hurt me at all because I didn't fall for the signs of attention from the guys and didn't fall in love with anyone, even with Ashley, who I actually really liked. Although I felt a touch of disappointment, so I decided not to return the dress to him. Let it be a compensation for moral damage, and I also loved it so much. Hearing Ella's words, the guy stopped fighting. Brian looked at me and smirked smugly, but Ashley turned pale and his face changed. Tiffany, I understand that it'll be hard for you to believe me. I was a bastard, but you changed me. Yes, Brian and I had a bet about you, but I didn't know who you really were. Yeah, I used to treat girls meanly, regardless of their feelings. I seduced and abandoned them. But all those days, I've been watching social videos with you, and not only did I agree with your ideas, but I also truly fell in love for the first time. And just like you, I want this to be real. And for life. I really want to try, and only with you. Ashley said sincerely. He threw a $5,000 bill at Brian, who put it in his pocket without any shame. What do you think I answered? And would you trust a guy who made such a dirty bet? Guys, I gave him a chance. Though it didn't happen immediately, it took him several years to win my heart. His actions, not words, proved that he could take care not only of me, but also of our baby. Yes, I'll tell you a little secret. I'm expecting a baby. Ashley and I got married right after we graduated college, and we're having a little girl very soon. I defeated fate, and I'm happy that my baby will have a father who will always be there for her.